Hello students, as you know we are doing leadership topic. Yesterday I discussed what is leadership, what are types of leadership. When I was discussing topic I told I will take one more class for leadership theory. In general there has not been question asked on this topic either on UPSC or in BPSC. Get your point, but we have to prepare because this topic will make our understanding better. So, and when whosoever writing Uttar Pradesh Public Service Commission or Madhya Pradesh Public Service, it may be useful to them. So today I am doing leadership theory. You know, leadership is one of the most important administrative behavior. You know, there is always a scarcity of right leadership. That's why organization is always in search of leadership. You know, leadership is important for research and development due to two things. First, its scarcity, and number two, its elusive character. Getting point? It since it influences individual, you can say psychology. That's why it has been very important because psychology has to bearing with physiology and technology. If you want to want to bring changes in physiology or technology, you require first to influence psychology. So that is very important point. That's why leadership is very important. And I tell you, leadership is basic hallmark of leadership is to influence. There was one question in us in UPSC that leader is basically developer of a people developer. Getting point. Leader is basically people developer. Get your point? And the second question was asked that which aspect of subordinate should be influenced by leadership. You know, leadership influences the psychology of subordinate individual. Getting your point? Because if psychology is influenced by the leader, then the whole gamut, or you can say whole thing, will change. That's why leadership assumes enormous significance in administration and management. You know, as I told that it has been always matter of attraction for research and development. That's why there has been throughout research and development and leadership. And as a result, there are three theories developed in leadership. First theory is called trait theory, second theory is called behavioral theory, and third theory is called situational theory. Get your point? Trait theory is traditional theory, basically based on classical approach. It was popular before 1940. According to this theory, leaders are born, not made. Get your point? There are certain traits which are, you can say, which are available to individual by birth. They cannot develop later on. However, in course of time, this theory moderated its approach and told that a leader is born with personal leadership and he learns managerial leadership. Means certain trait of leadership can be developed by training and experience also. Get your point? But this and several scholars like Millet, Terry, then you can have Appleby, Bernard, all have supported traditional theory leadership, and they developed their different their own list of leadership, trait of leadership. Get your point? Last time I was doing, and I also told the great man theory of leadership developed by Ivor Zenning is also, you can say, related to trait theory of leadership. In traditional in childhood we used to listen several stories in Chanda Mama and Nandan magazine that there was king, he was brave, he was smart, he was dashing, he was beautiful. So every attribute was attached with leader, king. So that is some sort of trait theory, you can say, reflecting that things are born, not developed. That is very much popular saying in our Hindi mythology that on har virwan ke ho चिकने पात. Get a point? ऊँट का पाँव पालने में. That is, these are some statements given highlighting the, you can say, quality of born leadership. Getting point? Even today, those who are successful leaders, you may get there are certain things which were hereditary. They got by birth, and due to that only they become super leader or top leader. But definitely some other factor also influence leadership. That's why threat theory of leadership subjected to criticism. First of all, there was lack of consensus on the trait of leadership. Some developed 10 characteristics, some developed 4 characteristics. So that was the thing. And they also did not point out relative importance of the trait, which one is more important, which one is not important. These traits were not in position to differentiate between leader and non-leader, even between effective leader and ineffective leader. That's why this theory was not accepted. Get a point? And it was it has not taken consideration of subordinate aspect, situational aspect. That's why this theory was dropped and it was replaced by behavioral theory. Behavioral theory, as the name suggests, studies leadership in behavioral perspective, how leader behaves, how leader responds, what function he does, what style he adopts, etc. In general, in an organization, leader has to perform at least 2 types of functions. First, you can say production related function. Second, you can say employee related function. And these 2 functions require different styles. So what I mean to say, the production related function requires task oriented style, and you can say employee related function requires people oriented approach. So the leader is successful only when he adopts right style for right work, means task orientation for production related activity and people oriented style for employee related activity. So this thing is basically the crux of behavioral theory related to leadership. Getting point? In this behavioral, on this theory, there are several models developed. Getting point? In all these models, the theory are discussed in behavioral perspective, and they try to identify what are functions and what could be right style for that. The first thing is that leader continuum model. This was developed in 1930s. Getting point? It was developed by Iowa University, that is important university in America. Getting point? Kurt Lewin, Ronald Lippitt, and Ralph White have contributed this theory. According to this theory, leadership is something like continuity. On one extreme there is, you can say, authoritarian leadership. On other extreme there is basically laissez-faire leadership. Getting point? In between there is democratic leadership. According to this model, democratic leadership is best, or you can say most suggestive one. Getting point? Most effective one. In general, we find this type of things take place in our day-to-day life. When someone joins organization in the beginning, what is our approach? The leader approach is some sort of authoritarian also. But in course of time, when employee become mature, he continues in organization for long period, he develops several good relations and other top relations. That's why leader has to change his style and he becomes no less fair. He gives total freedom to subordinate whatsoever you do. So this is laissez-faire. So this is movement from, you can say, the unidirection from authoritarian to laissez-faire, and in between these two there is democratic leadership style. Getting a point? So this is according to this model. Democratic leadership style is better. Ohio State University studies. This was also developed in 1945 by Fleischmann, Harris, and Bott. Getting point? In this model, it is a little bit broad model as compared to previous one. Here they have considered 2 points. First, important in production related function, and the second, employee related function. And the name they use, initiating structure for production related function and consideration for, you can say, employee related function. They developed 4-fold model. 4, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Getting by 2, 4. And they told that the leader is the only leader is one is good who has high initiating structure and high consideration. Means the leader who is successful or effective only one when he gives too much consideration to initiating structure, and you can say high consideration also. Getting a point? Number 3, Michigan University study. It was developed in 1946 by Francis Likert and others. Getting point, Michigan University is also an important university in America, and in this model, they have discussed on two styles of leadership. First, they told production related, a production centered style, and second, employee centered style. Production centered style is little bit authoritarian. It does believe in getting work done at any cost. It does not believe in participation and patience. Get your point? And in contrast, employee related function is democratic, is very tolerant and very humble to employ, very flexible approach also, democratic also. That's why, according to this model, in long run perspective, employee related style is considerable or better one. Employee related style is effective, most effective one. Get your point? Now, there is 4-1 Likert's ABCD model. This model developed in 1961. He classified leadership under 4 heads: A, B, C, D. A means exploitative leadership, B means benevolent leader, autocratic, C means consultative, and D means democratic. A stands for exploitative authoritarian. Exploitative authoritarian means he is authoritarian, he is autocratic plus exploitative also. Get your point? Like Mussolini, Hitler, etc. Get your point? So this is basically B1. B is little bit moderate one. He is benevolent autocratic. Means he is autocratic definitely, but having some beneficial or benevolent approach to subordinate. Get your point? Like our guardian, he is autocratic but benevolent. Please don't mind. I'm just saying in light mode. Yeah, and now see consultative. Consultative means the leadership who consults as every individual but takes decision his own. So this is consultative leadership. And last, democratic leadership, that is you can say participative also, means the leadership, whenever any problem comes, he shares to everyone, takes their opinion and takes decision on consensus basis. This is called participative or democratic. According to this model, democratic leadership is the best one. Get your point? And last, there is managerial grid or leadership grid. In 1964, managerial grid was developed by Robert Black and you can say Jane Monten. Get your point? In this model, they have taken two parameters: concern for people, concern for production. First, concern for production, concern for people. Concern for production related to production related function and concern for people related to employee related function. And they have taken 9 ordinates, 9 either, and made 5 combinations: 1 1, 9 1, 5 5, 1 9, and 9 9. Get a point? According to this, leader is the worst leadership, improvised leadership. 1 1 means least consideration, lowest concern for production and least concern for people also. This one gives high concern for production but least concern for, you can say, employee. The reverse one, here high consideration for employee but least concern for production. And this is mid part, means moderate approach to both. And this is 9-9, the optimum approach. Means team management. It is some sort of team management, giving high consideration for people as well as high consideration for production. This approach, this style is supposed to be most effective one. Getting point? According to this model. Getting point? Now we will discuss situational theory. This theory, as you know, Millett rightly says that leaders are made or broken by the circumstances. He divided circumstances into 2 heads: political and institutional. Political circumstances are basically external circumstances and institutional circumstances are internal circumstances. In reality, you find that leader is basically situational phenomena. It is situation which creates leader. Get a point? So what can be situational variables? Number of variables. Like first of all is on, value system, experience, expectation. They are not static. They change as per time and situation. So your leaders on, value system, experience and expectation. Number 2, your senior superior, they are also changing, because if you are working in that organization and now you transfer to some other organization, your senior will change, and their value system, their expectation, their experience will be their own. In the same way, your colleague will also change, and their value system, expectation will be accordingly different. Your subordinate, which will implement your policy and decision, their value, their expectation, their experience, quite important, and it also influences your leadership style. Then nature of function. What is nature of? Some function will be of contingent nature, some nature function will be of routine nature. Accordingly, the style will differ. And the culture and environment of organization is equally important, and it also varies from organization to organization. So 6 parameters I told, 6 variables. First, your own value system, expectation and experience, then superior, then colleague, then subordinate, then nature of function, then organization's culture environment. In total, all influence effectiveness of leadership, and the relative importance determines the style. According to this theory, the leader is effective only when he develops or when he adopts the right style for right situation. Get your point? If you adapt right style for right situation, you are successful. Get your point? Now I will suggest there are several models developed on situational theory also. The first theory or first model is called situational continuum model. In 1958, it was developed by Robert Tannenbaum and Warren Smith. He identified 3 variables. First, the variables in himself, then the variables in subordinate, and third, in the situation. And he pointed out that leadership is continuum. It starts from, getting point, it starts from boss-centered leadership to subordinate leadership. It means there is some sort of continuity. It starts from where? It starts from boss-centered leadership and gets finished to subordinate-centered leadership. And according to this variable, like variables in himself, variable in subordinate, variable in situation, the proportion of authority shared by leader and proportion of authority shared by subordinate changes. Means at one extreme, at boss-centered leadership, the authority exercised by a leader is much and by subordinate is very less. But in reverse, if you see, in subordinate leader-centered leadership, the authority shared by boss is or has leader is very less, and authority shared by subordinate increases maximum. So this is some sort of continuity. Means leadership, as you move from boss-centered leadership to subordinate-centered leadership, the share authority proportion changes. Getting point? The shared authority by boss decreases and shared authority by subordinate increases. So this is basically leader continuum, situational continuum model. Number 2, situational model of leadership. This was developed in 1967 by Fiedler. This theory is definitely very important model. Here they have taken 3, contingent 3 factors, 3 forces. First, leader-member relationship. Second, task structure. Third, leader position power. These 3 things vary from organization to organization. In some organization, you find leader-member relation is good. In some organization, you find task structure is good or bad. In some organization, you find leader position power. Also, they changes as per situation. So these are variables. In this model, 2 skills are used. First, least preferred coworker. In every organization, there may be some person who is not preferred by everyone. He is least preferred coworker. And the person who deals with him effectively can be termed as employee related leader. And those who cannot tolerate him is basically task related leader. Getting point? So these things you require to keep in mind. And second thing, it has taken parameter assume similarity between opposites. Get ASO, assume similarity taken in consideration. On that basis, it created 8 situations. Leader-member relation are divided under 2 heads. First 4 good, last 8, last 4 bad. Here, the task structure is basically divided while taking at a time. Means in 2 bad, 2 bad distribution. And leader's position power is individual. Here, good, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak. In this situation, in this way, we created 8 different situations. Getting point? And the first situation is very right. Everything is good. In 8 situation is the worst. Everything is bad. Getting point? This model says that if you move towards left ways, you are favorable to that. It is favorable for leadership. And if you move right way, it is unfavorable for leadership. Getting what this model says, first 3 is most fit for task related function. Fourth 5 is basically suitable for employee related function. 6, getting a point, you can say here also you are not clear what will happen. 7, both will work, either task or employee, and 8, only task related function. If situation is very good, task. If situation is very bad, task. Get a point? In between you can take what mix you required to do. So this is thing you require to keep in mind. Get a point? So this model is very important model developed by Fiedler. Now I will take path goal theory. It developed by Martin Evans and Robert Haas. According to this model, getting point, according to this model, the leadership is basically depends on his capability to show the path to subordinate. Getting point, the leader is effective only when he is in position to show path to your subordinate. You also suggest how to achieve them, and you also suggest measure to address problem coming in the way of path. So this is basically path goal theory developed in 1971. In this model, they identified 2 features. First, characteristics of subordinate and environmental pressures. Means what? You have to show goal while taking consideration of these 2 things. First, your subordinate, and second, environment. Then this says that here leadership is there, effectiveness of leadership, there can be 4: directive, supportive, participative, and achievement oriented depending on situation. Get a point? So you are either directive or supportive or participative or achievement oriented. Get a point? So what that the effectiveness of leadership according to this model is basically ability of leader to show the path, ability of leader to show the way to achieve a goal. Get a point? And also his capacity to address the problem coming in the path of goal. So this is basic point. So first you show the path of goal, then you tell also way how to achieve it, and also suggest way. Suppose it depends on your subordinate also, and pressure also. If environmental pressure is conducive, then goal will be different. Get a point? And if it is some sort of contingent, then definitely goal will also differ. Accordingly, subordinate also determines. If subordinate is basically very right-minded or very progressive, then you give offer goal accordingly. If subordinate is not very conducive or very supportive, then you have to offer goal as per situation. Get a point? So this is the crux of this theory. Next, you can say 3-dimensional leadership theory. It developed by William Reid in 1970. Get a point? In this model, he uses 3 dimensions. First, task orientation. Second, relationship orientation. And third, effectiveness. And on that basis, he developed 4 effective style of leadership and 4 ineffective style of leadership. So four effective style, which one? First, executive one, developer, then benevolent autocratic, and bureaucratic are basically effective leadership style. And ineffective leadership styles are compromiser, missionary, autocrat, and deserter. They are supposed to be, you can say, ineffective leadership style. Get a point? Now we will take another model, that is decision participation model. It was developed by Victor Broom and Philip Hayton in 1973. This model is also known as leader participation model, normative model, leadership decision theory, etc. Here the parameter is taken is called decision. Get a point? And in this model, it is said that as you move from this side to this side, the amount of decision taken by the boss and the amount of decision taken by subordinate differs. Getting point? So if you move on this way, the share of decision taken by boss will decrease, and share of decision taken by, you can, subordinate increases. On this basis, he defines leadership style in 5 styles. First is called autocratic 1, autocratic 2, consultative 1, consultative 2, and group 1. Getting point? According to this model, there can be, getting a point, there can be, you can say, two things, three things you require to take as matter. First, quality of decision. Second, degree of acceptance of decision by the subordinate, and time required to make the decision. Getting point? Means, what I mean to say, that these three factors determine the proportion of participation of decision by boss and subordinate respectively. Getting point? If time is taken too much, then proportion will be less. If you can say quality of decision matter, then definitely proportion of this decision taken by boss and subordinate will be little bit slower. So this is the thing. Getting a point? So according to, you can say, quality of decision, according to, you can say, acceptance of decision by the subordinate, according to time taken in the decision. Get a point? The share of the participation of leader and, you can say, subordinate changes. Get a point? But that is one thing that is very important. As you move from autocratic 1 to group 1, what you will find, the proportion of decision taken by boss will decrease, and the proportion of decision taken by subordinate will increase. So this is the basic point. And last but not the least, that is very important point, that is life cycle model. This model is developed by Paul Hersey and Bludgett. Getting point? In this model, they try to explain the style of leadership with the level of maturity. Here, maturity does not mean emotional maturity. Here, maturity means intellectual maturity, means ability to assume responsibility, etc. So here, if you move from M1 to M4, you find the leadership style also changes from telling to delegating. At M1 level, when employee is completely new, immature, does not know about organization, leader adopts telling style. He gives instruction, you do this one, that one. Get a point? When the employee comes at M2 level, then he changes his style and adopts selling style. Gives some opportunity also to respond. Get a point? But at M3 level, now he develops participative style, in which both leader and subordinate sit together and work together. And M4 level, when the employee becomes too much mature now is in position to take responsibility, then leader delegates the function. Get a point? So this is delegating style. So from M1 to M4, the leadership style changes from telling to delegating. Getting point? So this is very important model. Get a point? Like in the beginning, when your child, your father may have telling style. When you become now a young one, then he becomes a style of selling style. When you will become mature, imply, then he will adopt participating style. When you will become full grown, then he will do delegating style. He will delegate all of function to you, and he will take sannyas. I don't know anything. You know everything. I have done nothing has to do anything now. I have done already too much. Now it is your time to do it. This is the statement usually given by parents in later age. So this thing you require to keep in mind, right? So we have discussed just now several theory of leadership and model respectively, and we come to know different dimensions of leadership, that who are successful leader, who are unsuccessful leader, ineffective leader, and what are variables that are considered important in the decision making process. Any point? So this thing will make your understanding better while you approach writing answer for a leader, prime minister, or other topic also. Leadership is very important topic, I tell you, and it has been throughout matter of concern for research and development. That's why in present also there has been rigorous work on leadership. We are still trying to discover new types of leadership like charismatic leadership, transformative leadership, etc. Now we are also trying to understand to a case study of successful leader in past. What factors are responsible which made them successful? So we're trying to understand. We're also trying to discover, to explore different dimensions of leadership, that how leadership effectiveness can be enhanced. Getting point? So there is several directions. We are working on team leadership, that no individual is made leader, but the entire team is made leader. So this type of things or different types of work already taking place in the field of this leadership. So in coming time also you will find definitely several new development also. But one thing I will like to say, the hallmarks of leadership is to influence, since it influences psychology, and psychology has to deal with physiology and technology. So ultimately, the leadership issue has been always important and will remain important in future also. So you take one thing, you take this, you write answer, general answer on the theory of leadership and post to me. And if you have any difficulty, you can contact me. Okay, thanks. Enjoy.